Good evening, everybody. We're going to open the Town of Halifax Planning Board meeting on January 5th, 2023. This meeting is being recorded by Area 58. Tonight on our appointments, we have a 7 o'clock with RJ&C LLC, 0 and 314 Plymouth Street for a special permit for an oversized storage building. We're actually just going to be voting to accept a continuance on that. At 7:10, we have Adga Realty LLC and Malden Redevelopment LLC at 0 and 592 Plymouth Street for a site plan review. They have also asked to come on the next meeting on the 19th of January. 7:30, we have D'Angelo Duarte of 359 Plymouth Street for a site plan review of contractor storage. 7:45, we have 8 Hilda Lane Realty Trust for a definitive subdivision modification, which is also asked to come on the 19th of January. At 8 o'clock, we have Pat Maloney, 416 Plymouth Street for a site plan review, which is also going to come on January 19th. And we have a discussion at 8:15 for Halifax Trails. Also on discussion tonight, we have Curtin Brothers, 640 Plymouth Street, and Ellis Auto, 822 Old Plymouth Street. The building inspector is inquiring about occupancy permits. And we have Pasture Lane for a building inspector status update. We have bills from Armory Engineering for a Hilda Lane invoice. We do not have any meeting minutes, and we have some correspondence. Can I get a motion to read the agenda as read? To accept the agenda as read.
I'll make a motion.
Rick?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, right now we have to vote on the accepted continuance for petition number 981, R&J LLC for 0 and 314 Plymouth Street. Can I get a motion to accept that continuance? Let me find it and read it. Do we have it in here?
Yes.
Nope, that's 592.
Oh, R&J, sorry.
Don't be sorry, thank you. So it's a letter of mutual agreement for extension of site plan review. Oh, that's not even it. Yep. For a 45-day extension, which would extend it out till January 22nd, 2023. Which is not the same date that's on here, but we can only go by that.
There's a copy of it.
Anybody want a motion this extension?
Motion to accept the extension, or to vote for the extension until our next meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And we have 3:59 scheduled at 7:30, so I believe we could move forward with discussion if that's okay with you. So what do you have for us? And can we ask you to speak at the podium?
Jim Perry, the building inspector. I asked to come in front of the board to speak on a couple of projects that have been ongoing in Halifax. The two in particular, 640 Plymouth Street and 822 Old Plymouth Street. 640 Plymouth Street is Curtin Brothers Oil. They're looking for a certificate of occupancy. Back in August 31st, I sent a letter to the Board of Health and the Planning Board requesting copies of the endorsed site plans for those projects. I do not have them in my files. So I'm still inquiring on the endorsed site plans. I did mention to both of the owners of those projects that I would suggest they got as-built drawings done of what has been done and built on the projects to submit to the board, because I need the planning board to sign off before I can schedule a inspection for certificate of occupancy. I believe Mr. Curtin dropped off a set of plans tonight, this afternoon rather, and they should be in your box there. That's basically, I glanced at it quickly, it's basically an as-built of what's been built out there to date. But I have no approved endorsed plan to reference. So these projects have been going on since,
Okay. Can you see this? It's all the same, I think.
7/28/16 and 6/8/17.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
These projects have been going on since 7/28/16 and 6/8/17. So as a matter of housekeeping, we need to get these cleared up. And
Are you accepting questions from the board members? Is that
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
When was the last time anything was added on to it or built on the property? Anything since 2016?
beyond, I believe, the Curtins came in for a permit for a temporary fuel storage tank or some type of a
Right.
tank to fuel their vehicles.
Have you been out there? I understand you've been out there and done an inspection.
I went out there, well, I went out there and met with the Curtins, went through their building just to see if there was anything that they needed to clean up,
Was there anything?
just very minor in detail.
And were they all taken care of?
I haven't been back since.
Oh.
They told me that they were taken care of.
Yeah.
As far as, go ahead.
When you say minor,
Some handicap bars in the restrooms. They had to add a exit sign with some emergency lighting on the rear entrance,
Yes.
rear egress, rather. Beyond that, the rest of the building at that point looked pretty up to snuff. I also did a walkthrough at Old Plymouth Street, it was 680? 640 Old Plymouth Street, that should have been it. And again, did a walk through the building, he's fine there.
that's
I
Ellis
did-
Auto?
Ellis Auto. I did see him after the last meeting. I think he was in Florida during the last meeting. He came into my office probably midweek after that meeting and wanted to know what was going on. I told him that he should get a hold of his engineer and do an as-built drawing of what's been built out there and get it to the planning board.
Again, anything that's to your knowledge, like
No.
permits have been taken out for additions or anything like
As far
that?
as I know, nothing else has been added.
You're just saying we don't have a original site plan to reference for the as-built versus what the planning board signed off on 6 years ago?
I don't, and I asked the previous secretary, Joanne, and she didn't come up with anything. So I don't know if we need to get a hold of the
It's disappeared.
design engineer.
I don't know.
Just for Ellis?
Both properties need, I don't have, I'm sure you guys want to look at it. I mean, you can look at a as-built, but you have nothing to reference.
We have a conceptual plan here. Did you look through the planning board file?
Yeah,
Okay. We have a conceptual plan from August 14th, 20. It's not assigned, it just says
And that's
conceptual.
for Ellis, Amy?
No, oh, no, sorry, I'm
That-
still on Curtin's file.
Oh, okay.
I might have seen a portion of this on the septic system as-built plan. But there should be a plan with an endorsement on it from the board.
I have one from 10/29/15 signed by 4 people. I can't make out the first name. Oh, is that one?
Was that for the ice cream shop?
proposed office, proposed garage, reprocessed asphalt, proposed paving.
There was a previous site plan to the garage, that was I believe it was a ice cream shop with a drive-through window.
How long ago was that?
What's that?
How long ago was that?
I want to say 5 years before this plan came before the board, don't hold me to that.
Close enough.
I might have it, if you want to know.
And then this is the as-built of now.
The dates don't line up.
I believe that is supposedly the plan, but like I said, there's no approval, or it is endorsed, right here. Yeah, this is endorsed.
So that's the approved plan, and this is the as-built?
That's correct. I don't know where that came from, but nobody could find it from before.
Okay. I just found it in the file right here. So what?
So that's up, I mean, I don't know what you guys typically do, but you should review the plans, see where they do a site walk, and,
Okay.
but that's up to you. I mean, I don't know. I just need somebody to tell me that it's been done according to the plan and that I can go ahead and schedule the certificate of occupancy.
So it's been all signed off by the Board of Health?
Yes, Board of Health signed off. There was an issue with the COC, but we got that taken care of. Mr. Curtin came in and took care of that. So fire department, I believe, is all set. Plumbing and electrical is all set. Just waiting on the planning board.
Well, so far, the only differences, and you guys can look at it, and if you want to look too and see any differences.
Okay.
Well, they're all, like, it's the, the plan.
What's the only difference that you're saying? Is there a way for all of us to look at this at the same time so we're not going down?
That would probably be a great.
Turn it this way.
So this is all
So it's the only difference is the oil tank that was just recently installed? Is that it?
No, that's not on here. That's the floor drains,
Oh,
tight tank.
There's no parking or asphalt.
yeah.
Proposed retention basin.
Existing drainage.
The basin is installed.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all.
Well,
Those
it's a
fields.
different scale, so I'm trying to figure out
Leaching fields, and it's different, it's turned different than that, but
that would happen.
that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that would happen in general. Where, no, Rick, on the septic, this is the leaching field, and then that's a
That's a
reserve
reserve,
area,
yeah.
so what would you say
You don't
about,
need to show the reserve on the as-built.
even though it's
It
on
had it on the site plan, sure.
Board of Health signed off.
Yeah, they signed off, so that's not an issue.
Okay. What is this right here compared to, is that,
What's it say?
do you want me to pull it forward?
Existing guardrail, what's it say on that one?
It doesn't. Oh, it's landscaping. So there's supposed to be some greenery here with some bushes, looks like. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there must be a,
See how it looks like a green?
yeah, but there must be another sheet that
Another
just,
sheet.
that shows that.
Thank you.
Doesn't Joe on that.
There's no detail.
The sign, oh, is that just for where the signage is supposed to be in the, so that's the proposed sign?
Can you see what that would be? No.
That greenery, it's not required. We were gonna put some shrubs in there for aesthetics purposes, they're not gonna be required to have that.
Well, we did, remember when we did that?
No way. It's facing, anytime we did some classes, back here for butters, this is facing the street.
Right, and that would be for looks. And
I don't know, it looks pretty good to me. I don't,
I'm not gonna pick.
take over some shrubs on the front of
No,
that.
but what
I
about
think too,
paving?
wasn't
What
there
about the
a-
paving and the parking spots? Parking is something that we require as part of our bylaws. When he's here, I can ask him.
If it's non-retail, it was parking for, I mean, employees only on something like this, which is over by in
But
front of the
it's part
house.
of the site plan that's approved and signed, so how do we not have him do it unless he modifies away from it and we vote not? You know what I mean?
Well, I do recall two discussions about, trucks pulling in and out and having turning radiuses, so.
We didn't do
it's-
turn-in radiuses.
Well, just being available to have the trucks come in and out unobstructed. I don't know, I agree with Brendan.
I think that parking is part of our bylaws and that's.
So where's the parking on the as-built? Is
There-
it just
there
moved,
isn't
or
any.
there's no parking on the
That's
as-built?
what I'm saying.
Is it just not labeled? Because, I don't know
It
if
says
anybody's driven by
existing-
your place, there's plenty of parking.
Existing reprocessed asphalt, proposed paved parking.
Right.
So the back was reprocessed asphalt, but the front is supposed to be proposed paved parking. And so we have here,
Proposed, but is that a require, is that required,
it's
is I guess what the
signed.
question is.
It's a signed site plan, so it's required. 5 spaces and 1 space for each for each 2 people employed, plus 1 space for each 2,000 square foot floor area for the first 20,000. 2 employees, 6 spaces, 2,800, 2 parking spaces, 8 parking spaces required, 8 parking spaces provided. So he needs 8 parking spaces. I mean, the site plan says that he needs to have paved parking and 8 spaces.
Paved parking?
It says paved. And it's labeled right in here. I mean, I didn't vote on it, what's here. That's what we're required to follow. Do you want to see this again?
No, I'll try to get a copy tomorrow.
Okay. So I guess we could, do you guys think that we should ask Mr. Carton what his plans are to provide that?
Does it, I don't know, is there a difference between having them designated as in, what are you looking for, the marked or painted, or?
Well, that's what we do in all of our commercial spots. It's required to have the 8 spots, it's listed on the side here, and it says that it's supposed to be paved. I mean, that's what the site plan was approved stated.
So, existing reprocessed asphalt, which is what it has on the other one. The only thing we're missing would be the lines for,
Paved. This is the same as the back. So if you look on that, the back of the building from here was allowed to be reprocessed. This was supposed to be paved and labeled.
Oh, I thought that said reprocessed asphalt. I thought on that one, that's all. I thought it
No,
said
it's
that.
okay.
Okay.
No, I can show it to you so that you can confirm.
No, it's all right.
I just read that. And then if you read on the side part, all of the things, you want your coffee?
Well, I'm reading it here. It says parking spaces required, parking spaces, 8 parking spaces provided. Down here on the notes, I don't see where it says it has to be paved if it's, like Brennan said, if it's supposed to be,
Right here.
if it's on process, no, down here in the
Paved.
notes is what I'm saying, down here.
Paved parking.
Right, proposed paved. And this says here required and
That's just a-
provided.
What you're seeing in the notes is a calculation to show the engineer met the required spaces that are shown on the plan.
I mean, in my opinion, they could come in for a modification, but still, our planning board follows 167, and we have parking in there, and it seems that that needs to be done. I mean, otherwise, anybody else who's required parking could just say, oh, well, no, we don't need it, right?
No, I disagree. I think it has been provided, it has been made arrangements for it. He does have parking. The fact that it's processed and not paved, I
There's a-
don't see the necessity for marking processed pavement. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Besides our bylaws that says, and that's a signed site plan that says that it would be paved, and that there's a clear line that starts right beyond the apron of the concrete on the front of the building. That's all supposed to be paved to the street, marked off spots, 8, and it's required on the site plan. I mean, we're showing the differences here between that and the as-built, that's the difference. So what do you need us to do? I mean, if we're providing you this, then basically we've already made, or the board before that was on 2015 made that. So if you have this, we can get you a copy of it for your office.
Yeah, I'd like to have a copy of that for
And
the
then-
office.
Okay, and then you can do your job based on these things, correct?
Yeah, but at some point I need the planning board to say, well, okay, we're good with this plan, and what's been built is out there, and go ahead.
Okay, so you need us to go out and have a site walk?
I think it's prudent, but it's
It
up to
seems like the
you.
only issue you have is with paving the front of the building. That's the only problem with it right now, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, they have to go by the site plan, so if we go out and do a site plan walk, which we could schedule right now, do you wanna schedule a walk? A site visit?
Sure.
Okay. When is everybody available? How about Saturday are you available this weekend, Mr. Creighton?
Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. Are you guys available on Sunday?
I'm not.
Okay.
Would you say,
You can go there anytime you want. I rolled out the asphalt, the processed asphalt, and you can plow it. It's hot as a rock, but it is processed material. It's still asphalt, and it's hot as a rock.
Okay, did you mark off the parking spots?
I will,
Okay.
for
Do you-
no reason, because nobody's coming in yet.
I know, it's just a site plan, Mr. Curtin.
I'll take some white paint if that's okay.
I think that that would be the board's decision on whether or not that would be okay. But do you want us to wait for you to do that in order for us to have a site plan visit?
I just do a site walk first and then decide what you guys are gonna do. I
So
mean,
you'll let us know?
I think you should do the site work first before he does anything else and see what you guys want him to do to
So,
go forward.
Does the entire board need to go do a site walk, or can one person go with you, or two people go with you to do a site walk and then?
well, in order for us to make a decision and see,
It's up to you guys. I mean, if you want me to go, I will go, but, you know, I mean, it's
I mean,
boards.
personally, my
No,
own
I don't
person-
think,
If Rick, for the sake of this conversation, if Rick went and did a site walk with you or whatever, and came
yeah,
back
I mean,
and
if,
reported back to the board.
if two of the board could make it on Sunday and they look at it and they can report back to the board and you guys are comfortable with that,
Right.
then you guys can go forward from there as long as you're comfortable with
are you
what they
guys
report to
available
you.
on Sunday? Or would you like to try and do a different day?
No, Sunday works better for me.
Let me know when you want to be there.
What time would you like to do that? Is like 9 or 10?
Whatever you say.
What do you guys prefer?
It's fine with me, 9.
9? Okay. So 9 o'clock on January 8th, we will meet at 640 Plymouth Street for a site plan walk.
Okay.
Is that all right? Okay, we'll see you there. Thank you. Well, you can be out delivering or something, I don't know. Just making plans. Okay. Thank you. And then, do you have more to say about 822, so that we can get back to that, 822 Old Plymouth Street?
Ellis Auto Body? No, the last time I spoke with him after the last meeting, when he got back from Florida, he indicated to me that he was calling his engineer to do a as-built drawing of his property, which I'm assuming you will receive soon.
Okay,
There wasn't much on the site plan per se, there was some concrete aprons and stuff like that, but that's pretty much it.
okay,
But the building itself was complete.
perfect. And so we don't have a site plan for that one either. I don't even see a file for
Now,
it.
once the site plan comes in, again, it's up to you guys if you want to do a site walk to make sure it's done. I mean, typically, when I see as-built drawings, the engineer puts a disclosure on there that it is built according to the design and the approved plan, but that wasn't on that as-built.
Okay, well,
So,
That was my next question, is how is an as-built plan put together that doesn't line up with the site plan that was originally proposed, and then handed off to us to just hope that we catch something?
that's why there should be a
well, that's.
certification on every as-built that says it was built according to the approved plan.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what we just did for Curtin is found a discrepancy? I mean, maybe I'm just not,
Well, we have parking as part of our bylaw.
no, I understand that. What I'm saying is that there's an as-built plan put together by the engineer, right? That didn't line up with the original site plan, but it was still presented to us like everything was fine, correct?
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to compare it.
There was no
Okay.
certification
Shouldn't there
on
be
there.
something that should say, this is the as-built that does not line up with the original, it is missing, like on the as-built presented to us, it should say from the engineer, check, 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 missing. Is that not how this works? Because otherwise,
But the engineer.
unless we caught that little box at the top, it would have gone through, which again, might be, I don't know, it doesn't seem
think-
efficient, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Most of the as-bills that I've seen in the past, not in this town, okay, the approved plan is in black ink,
Yep.
and the as-built is in, or any discrepancies on the as-built are in red ink,
That would make sense, 'cause then-
overlaid on top of the approved approved site plan.
Right,
So now you know,
what's missing?
and sometimes it could be a grade off by a couple tenths or or whatnot, but that's minor. But when there are other things that are left off the
Yeah.
plan, it's not complete.
Just feel
So
like
it's, in a case like that, the proponent should come in. If he doesn't want to do those items, he should come in and request a hearing for
Right.
modification.
Yeah,
And it's up to the board to deem whether it's a minor modification
right.
or a major modification.
I guess I'm just surprised that the as-built plan didn't have that pointed out, considering parking spaces seem to be such a big part of our planning board bylaws. That's, I guess, all I wanted to say.
I can see that.
Certainly not surprised, though.
So you'll keep us updated on the Old Plymouth Street property?
Yeah, as soon as the as-built comes in, it'd probably come to our office unless we have a secretary by then, or you have a secretary by then.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. While we do have a 7:30, and it is 7:30, but do you have a short pasture lane update, or is it gonna be?
Yeah, I was contacted by the owner of Lot 1, probably back in November, somewhere around there, wanting to get into the discussion again about him finishing the roadway.
Okay,
Came to some type of an agreement, basically, that said he was going to repair the binder that's there, do the top coat, install the sidewalks, loom and seed, clean out the basin, put the safety grate on the outfall structure of the basin, and install bounds along the roadway.
okay.
That's what he's willing to do.
And
Okay? So I was hoping to get this done before this time of year. So speaking with town council, as much as I kind of talked to the guy and got him through the forest, if you will, the sole authority lies on this board as far as what goes on with this guy. It's yours. It's not the selectmen, it's not me, it's the planning board. So, before that was told to me, I told him to have his attorney draw up some paperwork to protect him and to protect the town, which we would have town council go over. And that's when kind of the rails came off and everything got on the slow boat. So, I think the guy's just looking for some assurance that he will get his covenant released if he completes the roadway. I have told him that there's no reason why I couldn't issue the permit once the covenant is released.
as long as he finishes the road.
The roadway's got to be complete. You guys release the covenant. I give him a building permit.
That's how it
Sounds pretty fair. I'm not worrying about the fence that was supposed to be on the plan 18 years ago. The vegetation has grown up since then. The people that wanted the fence have moved out. I mean, the main thing is to get the roadway finished.
I would agree.
So, that being said, you know, if you guys want to have town council act as your intermediary with this guy,
Yes.
because I don't think that what went on in the past, he's not too enthused about dealing directly with the board.
Well, wouldn't the highway department have some input in it too, as far as if are they gonna accept the road when it's done? Is that how it's supposed to work?
I mean, if there are glaring things down there that the highway department doesn't like, they can voice that on town meeting floor when they go for the vote to accept the road, or along the way. But the highway department has no authority over that road either.
Right, but once the covenant's been released and whatnot, then there is no recourse, right?
No, the road's got to be put in according to, you know, the standards that are on the plan.
Right. Well, that was the biggest concern, that snow plowing, you know, and the moving of snow through there and the manhole covers and all, and it would seem only make sense if those were addressed and done. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Well, that's what I've been trying to get done. But, you know, I hit a roadblock every place I turn. And unfortunately, it's going to become an issue quickly.
You're right. Here we are, 'tis the season.
So, like I said,
Well, obviously, the road's not gonna get done this time of year anyway, so.
no, but if things moved a little faster back when they had everything lined up to do it, but just didn't work out.
We do have.
But, you know, I need to reach out to him and at least get those either structures lowered or put some type of a, you know, a berm around them so that the snow plows can slide up over them, but then they won't receive the water. It's just a, they should take those and lower them down to the elevation of the binder course right now, put a temporary patch in, and then come back in
Get
the
us through
spring.
the season.
Yeah, I mean, we got to do something over there. I mean,
You can't plow it the way it is.
no, it becomes a situation with emergency medical vehicles and fire department, and police department.
I guess the only part that I'm missing on the whole thing is, you know, Mr. Perry said legal doesn't want to handle it, the selectman doesn't want to handle it, it's up to the planning board, but yet the contractor doesn't want to deal with the board. So if he's dealing
Well,
with, if he's dealing with.
I didn't say legal doesn't
He
want to
didn't get
handle it.
along with. or-
No, I didn't say legal didn't want to handle it. I said, maybe you can use legal as a intermediary for the board to deal with the proponent of Lot 1. So that,
That's basically probably our only option at this point.
well, somebody's, either that or the new town administrator.
We do have a Board of Selectmen meeting on January 10th of this year at 7 o'clock to talk about this and apparently Delia Way.
I think that because last time he was in front of us, there was a list that was given, that was agreed upon the first time that would be done, and then it was retracted without coming back in front of the board by the developer, which obviously halted the progress, which pissed all of the residents off. So I would recommend, that's exactly what we have counsel for,
So-
is to deal with his counsel, and then let them negotiate out, and then have him build it per the way that council sees fit, and then we go from there. But something's gotta get done, to your
Yeah.
point.
Council's dealt with this many times before, and it's gone
So-
nowhere. So what's that gonna do now?
My,
It's almost like you just have a guy come down, look, I'm gonna do this, finish the road, good. Great, sounds good. I mean, he doesn't wanna do it according to the original plan, because they wanted more layers of asphalt.
Right.
He just wants to fix what's there and put an inch down instead of the 3 inches or whatever.
And that was what it was agreed upon the
And, you know,
last time.
At this point, whatever, gets it done. You know, that's how I look at it, you know?
I don't know if the
As long as-
residents would feel that way, but on the street, but at the same time, it's better than what's going now, but.
I've spoken to one or two of the residents, and they want the road paved.
Makes sense.
They want the road what?
They want it paved. I mean, they don't even care about the sidewalk, but, you know, that's not for negotiation. They're going to put the sidewalk in.
That can't be negotiated.
As far as going light on the course, the wear course on the pavement, my conversation with the developer, proponent of Lot 1, was, you know, we didn't discuss anything like that. We discussed that they were going to do it according to the design plan with the items that I had mentioned.
Okay.
I mean, he may have to post a road bond when he goes to build on Lot 1. He was worrying about, he wanted to get in there and do the foundation and all that other stuff, you know, simultaneously, but I'm not giving him a permit until the road is done.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And, you know, he can post a bond, if he damages the road, he can fix the road. You can buy a $10,000 road bond for $100.
All right, so where do we go from here? Do we request
I
legal, or how do you want to go from
I
here?
have had legal in touch with his attorney as well, so they had a conversation. So it's not like they don't know what's going on.
Well, I would say that would probably be
All
the,
right, so let's
Rick
get an
Huxley.
update to see how those negotiations have been going back and forth, and if it's something we can agree to, let's, like you said, this has been going
Yeah, you gotta
way
move.
too
If we
long.
got any light at the end of the tunnel, it's not a train, I say we take it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll ask for an update. Okay.
One last thing, with the new reorganization of the regulatory department, I know that the previous board wanted the secretary solely under the planning board's authority, if you will. It's become a little bit cumbersome as a paperwork-wise in town hall with Sandy. The payroll hasn't been being signed and stuff like that. Throwing it up in the air now that we're starting clean, if you guys want to have me supervise the day-to-day operation of the secretary, your secretary in there, we're willing to do that. Totally up to you. It's not like she's going to be taking direction from me. I'm just going to be there making sure the hours are met and if she has any questions and stuff like that. So if you could think about that and let either myself or Sandy know. It would take a vote of the Board of Select to reverse that.
The hours being watched would certainly be better, but the hiring and everything else of her, I would say, would remain with us. Do you guys agree with that?
I believe the last board, or it was, when did we have that conversation about hiring our own assistant? It was more of just if we're gonna have somebody, or secretary, if we're gonna have somebody that works for us, then we at least should have some say with who we're gonna be working with, right?
I totally agree with that. When I hired the Conservation Secretary, I had Kathy Evans sit in on the interviews. I mean, I fully agree, you guys should be able to pick who you want. But, it's like a check and balance type thing too.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't want to get into the last hiring process, but as it worked out, it worked out.
Okay.
I don't see why any.
So it's up to you guys. I mean, I know they've been kicking around here, and it's more, for convenience than anything else. It's not like I'm going to be over there.
Yeah, people getting their paychecks is
Yeah.
certainly an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why there's any issue with a little bit of supervision as far as, making sure everything stays efficient. That's the whole key to it. So.
And part of the other thing too is that all three secretaries up there are going to be cross-trained with each other's jobs so that, they're all going to work together as one.
Right.
They're not going to let the phone ring.
Right.
Conservation while they're over there,
Right.
not going to happen. I mean, they're here to service the townspeople.
I would agree with the hourly watch,
Yeah.
and as long as we remained part of the hiring process and training process.
Yeah.
Everybody else agree?
I think yes, at least, as he suggested, at least on a temporary basis, and, because there was some talk of like not reorganizing isn't the word, but like instead of 3 individual part-time secretaries for one part-timer for each department, have like 2 full-time people that would handle all 3 areas.
We also talked about that.
Which would definitely, yes, it's just a discussion thing, it's not anything written, but it was, as opposed to then somebody would be there all the time, and instead of, okay, it's Thursday, 10 to 2, who's in there, who isn't, there'd be 2 full-time people as opposed to 3 part-time people that would share and be cross-trained, so to speak, for lack of a better term, so they could handle any of the 3 issues going on. And that was just thrown up in the air as a discussion. I thought it actually made sense, that somebody, at least one person, if not 2, would be there whenever somebody came in with a question, as opposed to when you call, and remember, you'd get, okay, my hours are Tuesday, Thursday, from whenever to whatever, you'd have somebody answering your questions. And even if it was something that members of the board needed,
They could get the information and get back to them.
Right, but having something overlooked and supervised until something like all those things are worked out, I think is a good idea, especially as far as payroll and things like
The
that.
things that were talked about were, the Conservation Secretary it's its own entity. That's kind of all by itself.
Right.
So the only 2 that you could really combine would be zoning and planning. But, there are financial reasons why they probably don't want to combine those jobs.
Benefits, pension, that kind of stuff.
So, and we are getting some people interested in the part-time work.
Okay.
So,
How many have you got, 7?
we got 7, 3, and 2. I think I got another one in tonight. So, some of them are, they're good. So,
Well,
okay.
I would say that, do you guys want a motion that the
You have to make a motion to the Board of Selectmen.
Would have ability for payroll and keeping track of the hours?
A temporary supervision of, yes, that sounds like a great idea.
Temporary?
You might-
Well,
He's
just to
got-
keep the
hold on,
door open.
He's got something to say. I feel like he's about to add something that's probably.
Well, I'm just, the only thing I'm going to say is I think you need to make a motion to send that to the selectmen, because they're the ones that actually changed that from,
Okay. Well, we can motion.
Regulatory
to bring that
board.
To the selectmen,
Yeah.
because.
At the
we
next meeting.
Bring it up on January 10th. Maybe.
January.
Oh, sorry. Anybody want to?
Second, that's yeah. I thought you just motioned it, so I would second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
all right.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. 359 Plymouth Street. We have you set up over here,
With the
and we have a microphone
We didn't have
here.
time for them, they didn't have time to reschedule those meetings. But now they used to. Yeah. How can we not?
Have you guys seen, has the planning board seen the copies?
Maybe if he gets a good picture of it, then you can turn it back to us so that while you're presenting it.
No.
This is the box.
Oh. This is my alarm.
Got it. That's right. I got it. I got it.
Thank you. Do you guys want to share, or do you want your own? We could probably share.
Sure.
That way we don't have to do that.
There you go.
No, stop.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the planning board. Good evening, my name is Paul Bakis with Grady Consulting on behalf of the applicant, D'Angeli Landscaping here. Here to present, seeking approval of a site plan in accordance with Town of Halifax zoning bylaw 167-28 at 359 Plymouth Street. The existing lot is a vacant lot next to the Dunkin' Donuts Plaza and the Stop and Shop Plaza across the street from Halifax Country Club. The applicant proposes a 440 square foot storage facility with 3 storage bays and attached office space. The purpose of the storage facility is to contain landscaping equipment. This is a landscaping contractor to keep the landscaping equipment indoors. Additional storage areas are also part of this site plan at the rear of the lot and the side of the lot. That is for storage of materials and other not as expensive landscaping equipment. Entrance to the site is at the southerly end of the site with two-way circulation around the building. There's parking provided in the front. Within the building itself, there are floor drains because equipment is being stored in there. Floor drains to capture any oil runoff, those type of things. There is on-site sewage disposal proposed that was submitted. The Board of Health has reviewed that, and they had asked for a comment. They did have one comment which we accepted regarding filter fabric being put over the system in an event. For drainage, there is a drainage proposed on the site through the use of subsurface infiltration dry wells that would collect the water from the impervious areas. that will collect the water, treat the water, allow for infiltration, and then allow for runoff to a grass swale at the rear of the property and into an infiltration basin that would exist between the proposed site and an existing wetland that is in the rear of the property. There is some landscaping along the rear, along the northerly end of the property to provide a visual buffer between the residential district and the site. And we are in front of conservation. We have submitted a notice of intent for a replication area that is such that we can stay outside of the 50-foot no disturb buffer in accordance with the town conservation bylaws. And with that, we did submit a lighting plan as well. And with that, I can open up to any questions you may have.
Have you been in front of conservation or just applied?
We've been in front of conservation. We're currently continued. They're going to do a peer review of the wetlands.
What type of materials is storing out back? You said that
Can I defer to the applicant himself to get the specific materials? It's general landscaping materials, mulch, gravel, stone, sand, that type of material.
Sorry.
So Jim said how, he doesn't see any issue with the site plan. As submitted, however, be advised, the applicant will need a special permit for a contract which is light industrial use or a special permit for warehouse facility.
Correct.
I did reach out to Joanne prior to her departure. She said that once the site plan is approved, we can then apply for the special permit. So I would just want to clarify that that would be correct. And I wasn't wasting anybody's time. But.
I would actually think that you'd need to,
Have the special permit approved before the site plan's approved, right?
Yeah.
Because once the site plan's approved, then they can just move forward.
correct.
Not my call.
drainage.
I mean, its use is not commercial, it's industrial,
Right.
and this is commercial. So like the whole basis of it would be that it would be allowed use in residential, in commercial.
Right. You'd be taking up commercial space for an industrial use.
Correct. Any thoughts on that?
Why are you calling it industrial use?
Huh?
Why are you calling it industrial use?
Storage.
That's what Jim said.
It's also in our bylaw. If
Be
you go-
advised, the applicant will need a special permit for a contractor storage facility, which is light industrial use, or a special permit for a warehouse facility. The proposed project is located in a business zone. So like a commercially,
It's not commercial zone.
it's a commercial zone,
commercial.
but
Yeah,
this
it's
is
not
considered
industrial.
light industrial, not commercial.
open up in a minute to comment after we're done.
So would it make sense for them to petition for a special permit before we approve or even go further with the site plan? That's how we've always done it
Well, if we don't
before.
get the special permit, there's no need of the site plan.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do you agree with that also, Brett?
Yeah, but I think it makes a big difference too on the materials that he has stored back there. Are they for retail, like customers buying mulch, buying, you know?
I would assume if it's a landscaping company, they're gonna be providing.
Well, not unless it was just for materials they were using out on a job somewhere and it's strictly for bins for storage,
Right.
as opposed to, you know, people driving in retailing to buy
Right.
material.
It's still sort of an industrial use to have storage.
No, that's what he's
It's not
saying.
still-
He's-
oh, yeah.
He's saying that if it's being used as storage rather than somebody like going to a place to buy it and have it loaded in the
As
back of
far
my
as
truck.
retail, got it.
If they're the landscapers and I use them for landscaping, they're gonna come mulch my yard, they're bringing the mulch that they're storing on
Right,
their
that they're
lot to
using.
my home to use, that would be industrial, not commercial. Right, but commercial is if I could go pick it up and they load it in the back of my truck and I pay them for it.
Right.
How would we find that out?
Yes, that guy.
Who is that guy? That guy right
The
there.
guy he keeps referencing to for a lifeline.
We are not selling any material at all.
Can we have you come up to the microphone and state your name and so that it can be recorded?
Absolutely.
Hi.
Hi, my name is D'Angelo Duarte and the owner of D'Angelo Landscape. So we are not selling any mulch or gravel or anything like that at all. Just, that's for our own clients. That we are, say what we're going to your house, you need mulch, then we're gonna install it at your house. So we're gonna store it at our yard and we're gonna install it at your house. We're not selling for anybody else.
So is there yard vehicles that are used, front-end loaders, that kind of stuff that'll be there to load up your trucks?
Yes, there will be
And
about,
how many trucks and pieces of equipment are we talking?
be about 10 altogether. Yeah, like 7 trucks and 3 Bobcats.
That's what the indoor facility is for, though, is to make
Yeah.
sure that those aren't exposed to the weather.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna have 3 doors
Right.
to keep everything inside.
Right.
You don't have any, is there anything here, any pictures of the building, what the building's gonna look like?
Yeah, right. It's like
Right
that.
here on page 3.
So like where, what's that now? What's that facility? What's that now?
Oh, just your typical contractors.
In the blue container?
Clarence.
Yeah, that's what that looks like, basically.
This isn't the historical district, is it?
No, I believe the historical district goes up to the entranceway of the country club.
Right,
I
and then
think
this
it-
would be
I think it
across the
ends-
street, right?
I think it ends there. So this is a metal building, like a space
It's a
building?
metal building.
What would a major concern be for the board for approving light industrial in a commercial zone, other than taking up commercial real estate that wouldn't be available to somebody else that's trying to bring commerce? Is there anything,
Break the bylaws.
well, not if they get a special permit, though.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't mean just saying okay, I just mean what would a reason be why we wouldn't, upon a special permit, so that we're not wasting anybody's time, and say, come back for a special permit, if we know that there's already an issue with it, we should let them know now, rather than make them come back for a special permit and go, well, we knew this last time,
Right.
right? So if there is something, let's have that discussion now, is to give them the best chance for success.
Makes sense.
It is across the street from the country club. Are we sure that's not an historical?
No, we should definitely double check. From the last just conversations with Mr. Shea and whatnot, that's where he said they thought it ended.
Yeah, so this is like directly across the street
Yeah, yeah, right.
from it. So the fence, that
And
is
like
there.
Brendan said, I'm not even
Right.
sure, Brendan, like if you were saying it's on both sides of the street, or is it just
Right.
the country club side? It could be that too. I don't, something we have to definitely double check.
Yeah.
And that's not something Jim would have reviewed?
Well,
No,
just
that
my
would be the
first thought
historical.
driving down the road would be look at it and go, that's not right. You know, that's, you know, aesthetically, just for that area. That's only my one thought.
I would agree with that.
The reason we said that too, when, I don't know if you're familiar with, like when Walmart came into town, it was in the center of our town. Couldn't have concern about how it looked. And we asked them to put on dormers, and they put on a nice front as opposed to a metal wall, you know?
Yeah, so what it looks like on there is what Flower and Soul moved into down next to Morgan Power Equipment, which is basically just a metal box, right? Which would serve your purpose, right, for what you need it for, but aesthetically, if it's 50 feet off the...
What will you have for traffic coming in and out of there? Is it usually all 10 trucks that go out in the morning and all 10?
Yeah, we'll leave at about 7 in the morning and we'll come back until 5:30. So one time go out, one time go in. That's it. Nothing like, not a lot of traffic in and out.
Because that can get a little congested down there.
No, it's like leave early in the morning and come back. Like I said, around 5:30, 5 o'clock, something like that.
And so those offices wouldn't be retail offices for sale or anything?
Not at all.
These are offices where you're designing and whatnot
Yeah,
for the
just
different jobs?
for the
and
people who
working.
work with us. That's it.
How many employees?
About 18 altogether with, 18 altogether.
The parking is not enough. They have 15 spaces and 18 employees.
We use one space per two employees, is what we used.
But there's a starting point with that, and then add that on,
It's per square foot, right?
It'll be,
and that too.
three of those person, they are going out for the whole day. So they are sales rep, so the cars won't sit there for the whole day. Sometimes they work from home after, so they go out, do estimates, go home, and they send estimates like after hours. So they're not gonna sit there, they're three sales rep.
I think fact of the matter is you've got enough space there that if it were to get through, you could reconfigure the parking spaces to fit what is required because of the layout of it being industrial is gonna be much easier to figure than commercial, right? I mean, as long as a new site plan is developed that shows the allotted amount that is needed. We're sticklers for parking spaces here.
You have to go by the square footage of the building as far as the parking spaces?
There's like a starting
Yeah,
point.
it's
so I'll read it.
It's 2
I
for
was
every
looking for a
1,000
map
square
of it.
foot, or 1 for every 2,000 square feet, what was it?
Yeah.
167-14H is what we used.
48, you said?
14H.
14.
There's also one space for each 100 square feet or fraction thereof of floor area of any retail, wholesale, service establishment, office, or professional building. So you have offices in there. So one space for 175 square feet. And then one space for each 2 employees, permanent or otherwise, for patron use for restaurants and other places serving food or beverages and theaters. A minimum of 5 spaces and then 1 space for each 2 persons employed, so that would be 5 plus 9 is 14. And then 1 space for each 2,000 square feet net floor area for the first 20,000 square feet. But it's just something to note, right?
So if it was 14 plus another 3.5 and they have 18 current, how many are showing on there?
They have 14, right?
14.
15.
15?
15.
So you
they're
need to
like-
mark up, is it, we'd have to double check that math, because you just rattled it
Yeah.
off rather quickly, but it sounds like there's gonna need to be about 18 spaces, which I have a feeling you'll be able to fit. I have a feeling you'll be able to fit that. But assuming that we continue to move down the special permit and things of that nature, that's just gonna be one of the things, is making sure that you check off the parking spaces for sure.
What about lighting out in the parking lot, especially after hours? You have the property all lit up where it does abut, like you were saying, residential areas and whatnot. They'll all be shielded and everything.
There was no proposed, the only proposed lighting was attached to the building. There was no freestanding light poles proposed. And so, and on the lighting pole, on the lighting plan that shows the spillover, I don't believe it spilled over onto the abutting properties or reached the abutting buildings.
I believe we need a report for that, so we don't run into the Halifax liquors and the neighbor issue again.
Yeah. Well, it's
Amy,
in
what does
here.
that say as far as parking? Does it say a minimum of 5 spaces?
And then add on one for each 2 employees.
And
then-
in addition to the minimum of 5,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need 1 for every 2.
and then one for every 2,000 square feet. So you'd have 3.5,
almost.
plus 9 for the employees, plus another 5. Right, so that's where you're coming up with 17, 18, to be careful, just to add.
That half, because we can't do a half.
Right, that's what I
Yeah.
mean, you're rounding up to 18, they have 15, so they just have to find
3 more.
3 more, which, again, I don't think would be, have a hard time believing that that's gonna hold it up. It would just, it's more so of what is a reason why, if they came back to apply for a special permit, that this board would not find it favorable.
Like we're just saying the other things. Yeah.
I just don't, I mean, other than aesthetically,
Yeah.
which is not to be taken lightly either, I mean, you know, it's protecting the character of the town.
Yeah, and then checking with historical as well. I can't find the map right now. Should we open up to public comment, or do you guys have any other questions? Any other
Anything else that you guys
discussion?
wanna say before we open it up?
We can hear what somebody else has to say, I imagine. Anybody has anything to say?
Kim,
When we were in front of
can you
conservation-
come up to the
Yeah.
podium and use the
Caesar said
microphone?
it's non-negotiable, it's not us.
I saw him downstairs, so I had to do it. Kimberly Kavicki, 668 Plymouth Street. When 359 was in front of Conservation on December 13th, they spoke about storing salt in the 2 outside buildings that they said were going to be bay buildings, but under state law, you can't store salt and sand and any types of material that would be used in the winter for sand, salt, and different things like that, unless it's up on a concrete pad and it has to have 4 walls, just so you guys are aware of that. And I believe I sent Mr. Elliott the state laws a while back when they were originally in front of us. And when this came about, because they abut the cranberry bogs, Morse Brothers had concerns about runoff in their berry sales because they sell internationally and there's such strict standards. That should be taken into consideration. And then my only question is, are they still going to consider storing sand, salt, and all of those other materials? Because that wasn't said to the board. It was only mulch and other things. They didn't speak about their winter operations like they did in front of our commission. So I just wanted to bring that to light to the planning board, so you don't miss the state laws and things like that either. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is it
No, I don't think so, I think it's,
stopped there?
yeah.
Got it.
So we have I pulled up the map for the historical.
Yep.
It's on both sides of the street. It's an older computer. You can't touch it.
Yeah, sorry, yeah,
No,
got it.
How's it look?
Old school.
Where's it in?
old school.
It could clip a corner of the property, I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, so if that's,
It could clip the corner of the property.
That's the golf course.
But see how this is? It could clip some of it. I'm not
Right.
sure if that would count or not. I would just ask Mr. Shea to be sure. My thought process is,
Right where it says E.T. on street, what's that, a driveway showing in there? That's the
So,
line, right
that's-
between the two E's, where it says street there in the center?
This right here?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's on the golf course side.
okay, and what's across the street? That one right there?
Yeah, this one?
so
Yeah,
it could
what's that?
clip this.
Yeah, I
Proceed.
don't know what that is. It looks like it's a partial,
Because it used to be a residence there, wasn't it? So, oh no, that's the Dunkin' Donuts that was the house there.
But there were, I think there was one there too.
Yeah,
I think.
so it could be like a driveway or something, or a
Right,
pre-existing
right.
driveway.
it looks like an old driveway.
It might clip it. And I don't know if a partial, but just check with him.
Right. Okay, so other than that,
Okay.
so we have to talk about the winter, the stuff that Kim just brought up.
Yep, so do you have any answers for that on the salt, sand, and gravel? Mr. Duarte?
Yes, so yes, if we can keep salt there, it would be great. We're definitely gonna have those concrete blocks to hold the salt so it doesn't wash away. So that's the idea for the winter time.
So there's gonna be a roof over it?
Yes, correct.
And
Ju-
4 walls, as it was mentioned,
Yes.
for just
So-
the salt or for both the sand
That
and the
has to
salt?
be added on too.
Yes, and it's salt both.
So if you did get your special permit, that would have to also be on this plan? The four
shed.
walls and the roofs for the storage of the salt sand?
Okay.
Assuming that you pass conservation and get the special permit.
Okay, I will talk to him about it so we can add that on.
Okay. Chris?
Oop.
Chris Winowitz, 129 Circuit Street. Not against the plan, but I just want something to consider as you go through the review of the site plans. I know it's on the inside of a corner, the radius of a corner, and sometimes that can create site problems, like people pulling out, and as you come around the road,
Yeah,
Yep.
you could come around the corner and there's trucks pulling out.
yeah, line of sight.
So as engineering review or something, just make sure whatever they do for landscaping doesn't create like a worse site picture.
Yep,
Because I know when you pull out Dunkin' Donuts, all the trees are right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And the road curves around to the right.
yeah, right.
So you can't really see up far where cars are coming.
Yep,
Yep,
cool, thank
good
you.
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had, I believe we added a call out on the plan to remove some of those trees in the front. I know there was some discussion at the conservation meeting that there are these street trees that were planted long ago, but one of the abutters, I believe, mentioned that they've seen better days. It also appears in multiple site trips I've taken by, they're the last of street trees that were planted a long, long time ago. But we did call out those to be removed to improve the site distance. So it is something we took a look at.
Okay, thank you.
The young lady.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi. Phyllis Terrell, 363 Plymouth Street. The property behind 359. I have a couple of questions. The traffic there is pretty bad, so I just wanted to know the actual hours of operation. I can't get out of my driveway. I know Coletti has a real bad problem because they're coming up from the lights and everybody's speeding up, so it's really hard to see. So, I mean, he said 7 to 5, but what are the real operation?
I mean, as a landscaper or somebody that works outside in the blue collar world, it's usually dusk till dawn, right? Or dawn till dusk, right? You work at the, whatever you're given. So I would assume that's also gonna be, relative to season, right? Although 7 to 5 is nice during the winter hours, if you can get another 3 hours.
Well, he said that's when they'd be leaving and coming back.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that it may be hard to give you a definite answer for that because it is industrial. So if it's 7 to 5, but at the same time, if there's an extra 3 hours worth of work in a short window of time based on the season. So if what you're looking for is a definitive time, I'm sure he can give his best answer. I just don't know that he can give you a definite. That's all, that was just my input.
I can talk.
Quick question for you too.
We can't do that.
In the wintertime, are you gonna have trucks out plowing? Right, so then basically the 7 to 5 is thrown out the window.
Do you want to
during
come up to the
winter.
mic so that everybody at home can hear?
Oh,
us,
hold on,
please?
do we wanna, one second, do you have more questions? Cause
Well,
let's
they
get
can all
those
sit
out on.
back and forth if he stands up here, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, I was thinking that if he
On
answered.
the plans, he has trees along the two properties. But they're 2 to 4 foot. They're only going to be this big. I would like to request, especially where it's a landscaper, at least maybe 8 to 10 foot trees. And they should be kind of staggered.
You saying Oakwood?
Yeah, those trees there.
Oh, in the back?
Yeah,
Along the rear of the
To
property?
allow, like,
yeah, because I
an arbor
know
wall.
the Donuts put in 2 to 4 and they're still only this high. You know, and we hear, at my house, I hear the orders coming in.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly, you know, so they're just now getting, and it's been 100 years now.
Okay.
So, yeah, at that. And there was one other thing, there's, right on the edge of the property, there's some really young walnut trees.
Can you
I was wondering
face
if there's any way they could possibly save them.
the walnut trees?
The black walnut trees that are
Okay.
sitting right on the corner up by the driveway.
I think that's the ones that he was just discussing, wanting to take down due to line of sight for the street.
No.
No?
I'm not even on the street.
Oh,
My house is way in
no,
back.
no,
This
I know
is
that. I
the-
thought you were talking about, sorry.
No, there's right up.
Where are they
on
located?
The curve of my driveway, there's some,
Oh,
yeah, up there.
oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, if
Okay.
there was any possible way that they could save those young, really nice, they're actually very valuable trees. And I'd like to try to save them and maybe a couple of the maples that are sitting in the back.
So this is plantation that is on, plantation's not the right word. These are trees that fall on their
Their
property? Alright, so if there was something in there to say that, you know, they're not gonna disturb the trees that abut.
Just from the engineering perspective, if
Are they in the drainage area or something?
it's close to the drainage area, so it's not like that's going to be the storage area. It would just depend on if we would have to take a site visit and see exactly where they are and get them on the plan to know how that would impact the site design.
Would you be opposed to having a walkthrough with the abutters and marking, seeing the trees that she's talking about, marking them off and making sure that those aren't touched?
And what about the screening trees?
So you gotta address us.
Oh,
You're
I'm
not
sorry.
actually-
That's
No, it's
okay.
So why don't we do this? Do you have any other, I wrote it down, your questions. Do you have anything else that that way we can knock them out with them?
No, other than the traffic, which is, you know, on Friday, it backs all the way down to the car wash. So it's almost
And further.
impossible to get either out of my driveway or Coletti's. I mean, they're ticketing outside of Dunkin' Donuts and the Saturdays and Sundays. You can't get through there.
Yeah.
I know.
So, does anybody have any kind of a solution to
Well, we're supposed to
the
watch
impact
it.
that it's gonna have with just the one?
We can ask for a traffic study.
Yep.
The other thing was, he's got 3-bay garage with 3 different offices. Is it always going to be just a landscape? I'm just curious.
Right, that's a great, well, they'd have to, if to change use, they'd have to come back.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't switch without coming back to the planning board to.
Okay, my other concern was with the conservation of the water, the excess water coming through.
Right.
That would be in the stormwater management that they have done a project on that we would, yeah, and also conservation. So,
Okay.
good questions, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
So we should probably have Mr. Duarte answer some
There's
of
more
those.
questions. Do we want to just rifle down the questions and then have them answer them all at once, or keep going back and forth?
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter to do it either way, right? What do you think?
I'd rather get all the questions out on the table so we only have to suffer, make the guy suffer one time.
Chris?
I just had one other question. Will he be having like 18-wheelers coming in out of there with the traffic and the shop, the corner with the sight
Very
lines?
good question, because we'd have to do some.
Would they be able to
traffic.
pull in all the way, then do their drop in there, or would they have to back in from 106 and stop all of 106? Because the landscape place I worked all through the season, you're bringing in 90 yards of mulch at a time for all the jobs, so there's 18-wheelers coming in.
Okay. Got it. Were you gonna say same question?
No, no, I wasn't. They're not in our zone 1 or 2 for our water supply, but they do abut it. So runoff would be extremely important between all of the departments and the commissions working together to ensure that we continue to protect it. And then just a reminder to the applicants that Halifax, if they're going to be storing any former biosolids, that they have to have a biosolid permit in
And that's
Halifax through
The
conservation. So-
salts and everything to be.
Salt, sand, or depending on what type of soil they'll have, if it has any forms of sludge or different things in it, that they'd still need the permit on depending. And I know Chris has brought up the biosolid concerns to the selectmen and ourselves at conservation and different questions, so
Okay.
that's what I just asked Chris. I said, I'm surprised you're not asking the biosolid question, so.
Okay. And we have stormwater management done on this, and if you need to look at it, we can arrange for you to be able to see this.
We did, because we asked Grady and
This is-
Paul if they could bring us a copy too,
Okay.
and we got another copy, and I marked mine up, so when they come back in front of us, I know we have I personally, just as one member of the board, have an additional 32 to 37 questions for them.
Okay.
Just on different documents that they've brought into us again, and concerns of the neighbors and everybody else, so,
Just so everybody knows, this is a stormwater management report.
so.
Okay.
Do you guys want to look at that?
Sir, could you answer that question about the?
Yeah, if you wanna come back up. So I wrote down the questions. Do we wanna
Awesome.
just go down?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm just making sure that way we
Please.
can.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So the first one was hours of operation,
Yes, it will be 7 to 5.
7 to 5.
Weekends?
7 to noon, 1 max.
So
Because,
you won't be doing dawn to dusk?
no. Not after hours. Like,
Man, I wish I worked for you in college. It's like work till 8 o'clock till the sun goes down.
winter time, it's hard to tell. Whenever the snow show up, we'll be there for work, so it's hard to control that, unfortunately.
Okay, so 7 to 5, 7 to 1 on the weekend, on Saturday. The 8 to 10 foot trees for the wall instead of the 2 to 4, the arborvitae or the giants or
No
anything?
problem with that.
Not an
Exactly.
issue? Cool. The walnut trees, that was already agreed upon, that you walk the site with the abutter to mark off some of the trees that you'd like to conserve, or all of them, right, to that point?
We
No,
can,
but seriously, right? And that also would add an extra layer of sound buffer as well, not just for aesthetics, right? Traffic, I would assume we're just gonna need to do a traffic study, right, which is something that we would order or require. So not that you're a traffic study expert, so I would assume that you'd
Yeah,
prefer
I'm
us to
sure.
have the experts do that. Any questions on that?
Paid for by the applicant.
Paid for by the applicant to do the traffic study, right? The 3 offices and the 3 bays, I think we answered that already, as far as if it were to change into a different, whether it goes to commercial or a different type of industrial, then they would have to come back before us to do an occupancy permit,
Change of use.
a change of use, right? So that would be,
That's gonna bring a question, from me, why 3 different offices instead of 1 for one company?
One for the secretary, the other one for the office manager, and the other one for the marketing.
So it'll be the same, like, entrance, and you go
Yeah.
in and there'll be 3 separate offices, but
three
it's not 3 separate companies.
Same company, yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tractor trailers.
Yeah, so the 18, hold on, so the 18, basically what type of commercial vehicle is dropping off your supply? Is it-
18 wheelers,
They are 18-wheelers?
but we don't carry 18 wheelers. It will be F-350s. So
Is there
small
room
trucks.
for them to go in there? Is there room for there in the back for them to drop the product and turn around and come out? Because you're not gonna back out on the 106.
We can provide the auto turn analysis.
All right, so
We would need that.
Yeah.
we'll need the auto turn analysis, right? So basically what they're concerned about is obviously an 18-wheeler coming in, blocking all of 106 to then be able to back their vehicle in to be able to make the drop and then block 106 again. 106 is a very congested
I agree with that.
road, right? As you, I'm sure you know, right? So we would need that. Auto report, okay. Stormwater, we have. And then the biohazard permit is something that would also need to be applied for, right? Which is all basically part of the conservation, on top of the 32 to 37 other questions that are being lined up for you.
Lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
Every time there's a new meeting, new questions come up.
Right, as they should.
Right.
That's our job.
The residents are really not concerned or against it, just questions.
Yep, perfect. So there was one more question, I think when we were going through the 3 offices, it seemed to raise a question for you.
My question was on the hours of operation, because he said he was going to be plowing. So I don't understand how his hours of operation would still be 7 to 5, since we don't have control of the weather. And and a lot of people that plow don't want their equipment to be broken, and they don't push, they still push snow after 3 or 4 inches. And I mean, if you have 3 to 4 inches between 5 and 9, 9 and midnight, I'd assume that there'd be a 24-hour operation.
Yeah,
And
he stated that he wouldn't be
He
able to
did answer
control the
that.
weather.
Yes, he did say that during the winter time. it would be. Just out of curiosity, how long have you been in business?
15 years.
Oh, so you're brand new?
Tina?
Yes, Tina Alger, 340 Plymouth. It's hard to hear some of the people up here talking. I was just wondering if the storage is going to be just landscaping supplies. Hopefully, it's not storage for those porta potties that are out there. That bothers me. That's my only question. And also the traffic. The traffic is wicked. I'm right across the street from Dunkin' Donuts. I have to wait. Come 3 o'clock, you might as well forget, just forget it. Because the traffic is wicked. Saturdays and Sundays, the traffic is more wicked. You just can't get out. And that's all I have to say.
So are you worried about the storage of like other equipment and possibility of like boats and such?
I'm worried about, I just don't want to see heavy equipment, a lot of heavy equipment, hopefully it's not a storage of porta potties. It's just so seedy looking.
I'm glad you used that word, a different one came to mind for me.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So just for the record, if you could address that what's gonna be stored in your facility and
Outside of
also,
it.
yeah, and also the traffic, we've already addressed where we're gonna get a traffic report done, so you don't need to address that just yet.
Yeah, just basically dump trucks, which is small trucks, 1 tons, 2 tons, and the porta potty is not gonna sit there. Definitely not. We have a different location for that. That's just for whenever the right time comes for the construction work. They can be usable for those guys who's gonna work there. And yeah, that's about it. I guess. Is there anything else that I'm missing here?
I don't think so.
No?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So, do we send him to get a special permit and then address the rest of these items if he gets it?
I think that I would have a hard time approving a special permit unless this stuff is satisfied. These questions were satisfied. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right.
So we would ask that you apply for a special permit, right? And then the 8 questions that we had would need to be addressed, which he was taking notes, right? So that way, when you come back for the special permit, we'll ask those same 8 questions,
Special permit goes to zoning on this.
but then they come to us too, don't they?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
yeah.
just making sure.
So when they come to us, for the special permit, we'll have these at least 8 questions knocked out, or some variation of it. And then we can have the discussion or the vote amongst the board to approve that, and then we would go to site plan approval. That's what I would say,
Yeah.
from a logistical standpoint.
That's basically what I was saying too. I think I just said it a little differently, like they should get the special permit, like see if they get the special permit, but the special permit would be contingent on all.
Yeah, on this stuff.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, is that what you?
I think too, we should have a determination on the historical district part.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
even if it's a small corner or bit of it, it's, I think it's either historical or it isn't. Like, you know, so if it is, yikes.
That's why I was thinking
What other
that.
can of worms can we open?
Yeah,
up?
right.
Agree.
Did you know if it clipped the historical at all? You don't know, or it doesn't?
I don't.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
Okay.
I agree. That should definitely be added to the list to just check off, is make sure that we don't, it doesn't clip the
Because it
historical.
would be, right? Right, at one corner, it could possibly. Right, okay. Right.
And that's,
So-
and then a lot of the state regulated too, not just Halifax stuff. If it's
Right.
historic,
Right.
yikes.
Right.
Yeah, I think,
100%.
so I would just apply for the special permit for zoning and for us. And then for zoning and then to us.
Yep.
And then knock out the answers to those 9 things. And then,
And add the parking.
and add the 3 parking spaces. And then at least we can have another conversation, and then from there, it should be able to move forward, assuming all the other boards, because we do communicate now well, so.
Yeah, and conservation only had it as a peer review study because they're looking to replicate the wetlands, so.
Right.
And that's huge, depending on what could or couldn't be done and what may or may not come about for each and every board afterwards, depending on what's approved and whatnot, when it all comes back.
Right.
Did you put down those 6 or 8 foot arborvitae as opposed to just the 2?
Yeah, 8 to 10 actually.
Oh, better.
Yep.
Great.
Cool. Oh,
In the absence of Joanne, the best way to communicate with the planning board is
That's a good question.
the building inspector. No.
with you, Amy?
Yeah, I'm getting the emails for now.
Okay, thank you.
And hopefully we'll have somebody hired in the next week or 2.
Do I use Joanne's email or the email address you emailed me today?
Today.
Okay.
Would be easier.
All right, thank you.
Circumventing that is, yeah, a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it? I think so.
Okay, so we don't have a formal continuation date Because
We can
you-
well, I
because
think,
you want us to apply for the special permit.
yeah. So basically, what do we have right now? That's a great question. So right now, we have,
19th.
is that when he's due, January?
I mean, that's our next meeting date, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I
But
don't
the really
think he'll
doesn't
be
make
ready for that, so you, currently, right now, your site plan is up on 2/8. If you got your ducks in a row, you might be able to get on the next zoning board for February, but we would require, I would think that we should request an extension into March, and just because I don't know if he'll get on zoning then,
Right, depending on the zoning process.
so can we, right now, your extension, your 60-day extension that you already have ends on February 8th? Oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong day. Oh, you're January 28th up for site plan. Can you give us a 60-day extension and then do your special permit, and then that way you won't have to reapply to us? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I have one right here that we can get this out of the way.
In hopes that we can get it done before that, obviously. or at least not done, but at least move to the next step.
Do you guys agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have it here somewhere, just give me a second. Do you have any other questions for us?
Is us applying for the special permit contingent upon the traffic study, because that is gonna take some time, that is out of our control. That's not something I can say, yeah, I'm gonna work all weekend to get this in on Monday so we meet the deadline.
Right. I think that you,
Well, the traffic study could be done by, for the site plan, I think. Right?
would
How
you
intensive
require that?
traffic that you're looking for? I mean, he could just provide state counts, or do you want him to do his own, I don't know, how intense?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if there's, 10 to 15 employees going in and out, I would assume that there's, because it's not commercial, it's industrial, I would assume that there'd be a way to figure that out, but traffic does seem to be a very hot button for anything that goes in on that 106, right? So,
No question.
I mean, considering that the special permit needs to be approved in order for the site plan to be approved, you could technically get the special permit approved with most of this knocked out. And if the only thing that's waiting is the traffic study, that could still hold up the actual site plan approval or denial. So it's not like once the special permit's done, that everything's done. What are you looking for?
The file with all of his applications so I can copy it correctly.
You took that. You took the whole box.
Okay.
Everything
So
that you
where-
had. Is it underneath the?
There was
your-
no folder, there was only these. There was not like the.
That was a stormwater thing. Was it
Yeah.
anything to do with that? No.
Right.
I would say, proceed to try to get the traffic study as soon as possible. And if it's in the process while we're doing the special permit, and we would have the conversation as to whether or not we're willing to accept that as the next step, then that would be
But the town is doing the town is soliciting the traffic study.
correct.
That's, yeah, so it's on the town to get, so we'll apply for the special permit and we'll just say contingent upon the traffic study
Right.
as part of the site plan approval.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
If everybody's okay with that, I don't want to speak on behalf of the board.
I
I'm
don't
okay
think
with
you have
that.
much choice. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and then we do not have any meeting minutes. We have a bill.
Hold on. Are you good?
I'm good.
I'm just filling
Just
this
doing
out,
paperwork.
Oh,
so
okay.
I figured we'd get other
Oh,
stuff.
I got you. Yeah, yeah.
We have a bill. Do you guys see the bill in here? From Armory Engineering.
I did not see one.
You're good. You're good. It has not been. We're trying to multitask. Thanks.
Can you read that invoice number and motion that?
We have a bill to pay for Armory Engineering, invoice number 16010, 3 hours for $156. Site plan review service for 6-8 Hilda Lane subdivision modification. I'm sorry, 3 hours at $156 an hour. It's for a total of $468.
I'll make a motion to accept the bill, the invoice 16040 as presented for $468.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Aye.
No, go ahead.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Cool. Yeah, we need to sign this. She's just filling that out for you, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have you guys sign, because everybody's gotta sign that, right?
Yep. Thank you so much.
I was looking at your handy dandy little, where's your checklist that you had
Right here.
to show what was,
So we
you had a little
have,
box
this
of,
is done, this is done, this is done.
Just need 3
Do we have any discussion on Halifax trails? I don't think so. Anybody have any Does anybody want to talk about any of the correspondence?
Meaning from the other towns and whatnot?
Yeah.
Town of Pembroke and Town of Bridgewater.
Anybody?
Nope.
Okay. Motion to I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Any second?
I'm contemplating whether we should have a discussion on the materials we received in the mail today,
In the mail. Oh, you mean like as our email?
the emails, yeah.
Oh, okay.
What do you think? Now, question number 2, or part B, if it involves pending litigation, should it be an executive session?
What did we receive that I didn't see?
The one from Attorney Robert Kraus
I didn't see it.
regarding the Starbucks drive-through.
Oh, I didn't think that was, a threat. I thought,
You didn't think it was what, I'm sorry?
I didn't think that was a threat of litigation.
Oh, it's filed in Plymouth Superior Court. It was like on page 3 or something, I think it was.
So we would have to have an executive session.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what the rest of the board.
Wait, I didn't get that.
I'm gonna look at it. Okay, so I'm gonna sign this so that we can allow him to go. And you're on that side now.
Yeah.
And then,
Brendan.
we'll all sign it.
Yep.
It's
What time?
6 pages.
What time did it?
What time did it come in?
Oh, is it the complaint from Kraus and Hummel?
1:32 this afternoon.
Oh, I didn't see it then.
1:32 today?
We're gonna give you a copy of this now so that you can have it.
I'm sorry, 3:31.
Yeah, that's the one, okay. Did I sign it?
Unless you think it's not necessary, but
No, I think we should. Unless you think we should get town council.
oh, we're gonna have to at some
No, I
point.
mean, before we talk about it.
I always default to town council. 100%. If this is a accusation of legal recourse, I say we,
I'll make a motion then that we break into executive session and that we will not be returning to open meeting.
Sure.
Upon completion.
I would say,
Discussion and presentation.
The presentation was not, that was just discussion on the presentation. We just haven't had it.
hang tight. Not you. Not you. Kim,
Do you-
sorry. There was a question on the floor. Do you want to answer it?
Yeah, it was on there because the secretary was leaving and she put everything that we possibly had on our plates on this agenda. So I had to call around to each applicant today and find out who was coming and who was not. 3 out of 5 people were not coming. 1 needed a vote and then 1 was actually coming. And then that discussion was on there. It's due to the fact that the secretary did prepare to get everything done as best as she could before she left. She left last Thursday, and we've been juggling to make sure that everything is.
So when's that presentation gonna be made?
Well, the presentation was made at the last.
That wasn't a real meeting though, 'cause you guys didn't have.
But that was not part of a meeting. That was they were just coming to present to us, and I did announce during that non-meeting that it was gonna occur.
I know other people that heard say we weren't gonna have it, we all got up and left.
Yeah.
I stated out loud that we were still gonna have it.
At what point, you also heard someone state we wasn't gonna have it.
If you watch the live feed, you'll hear that I said it.
So so because you guys didn't have quorum and it was presented, questions shouldn't have been made, right?
We were just being presented as a public, like just in public.
So what was presented.
It wasn't an official presentation. It was more of
When is
Kurt.
the official presentation gonna happen?
They didn't even have to do that.
So hold on. So they don't have to come to the planning board. So they were doing that out of the kindness of their heart for goodwill. So they came that day to do a special version of it for us, but they didn't need to do that. So the fact that they came there, they were not going to come back. So the fact that they came here and we didn't have quorum, they did their presentation and they didn't need to, but they did it. And so they're going to go on to what's the next board that they're?
Zoning.
To zoning. So the official to zoning.
To zoning.
Correct.
So
As long as it
we
was-
had a deadline for comments that I got extended, and that I had them come out and do that. So when they came out here, we could actually look at the presentation and make comments from
That could
us.
be noted for the zoning board to at least know that some people had made comments.
Right, it was not deliberated on, and no vote was taken, so that it was not part of the planning board meeting.
They don't need
That we
our,
didn't have
they
a
don't need
quorum
our
from, that we
approval,
didn't
they
have.
don't need anything from us, and upon the request for them to come do the presentation, they had every right within the law to tell us to screw. But they decided in good faith to come and do their presentation.
We were at conservation the other day and we asked if it had to go in front of. Does it come back to you?
Nope.
Never.
You mentioned to look at the live feed. Where's the live feed posted?
I would have to ask Caesar where it's posted, but I know that people have been watching it. Probably on YouTube.
All the video.
Conservation goes to YouTube.
Yeah.
Everything goes to YouTube.
Yeah.
So when it goes before the zoning board, it's not gonna be rubber stamped that this has happened, right? Just because it's a 40B?
That's when I think that everybody should write their state reps and tell them what they feel.
It's ridiculous that it's just gonna be, first of all, it doesn't even fit the looks of the town, 3 stories high. I was just happened to be over there the other day, the existing buildings in that area are 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a bylaw, you
There's
can't
so
go over
many
2.5.
things that are wrong with it, and the way the guy kind of talked, like, it's coming. Well,
Yeah, that was my.
I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
It's coming. I live here in this town. These guys are gonna build this and then leave, and I gotta deal with it. The fallout.
Yeah.
And that's crap. I don't care if it's a state or what. We should have some say. It's our town. We live in it.
100%.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you.
I think part of it was the statement that was made that was, it's coming whether you like it or not, so you may as well.
That's exactly right. And you don't live here. You don't tell me what's
Right.
coming in my town. I have a right to vote on that. I don't like the whole 40B where they don't have to consider fire,
Yeah.
police, schools.
Water.
The water's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even emphasize that enough. I tried to find out how much water we used 20 years ago versus now. I couldn't find it. I'm not computer savvy. But, you know what? These aren't like single person moving in. These are families moving in with kids.
Well, that was.
They're stress to schools and
Yeah, that was also probably my biggest concern
who's
was,
gonna have to pay for that?
We are.
hey, not for nothing, we're all residents too, so we hear you, yeah.
You're gonna be paying for it too.
I think the part that was probably most bothersome, hey, everybody in the audience, Kim, having a conversation. Sorry, trying not to be rude. I'm trying not to be rude to you. So the problem is that there were a lot of things in that presentation. Obviously, you were there, you heard it, right? And to say that there's only gonna be 13 kids in a development where there's gonna be 200 and something adults is crazy to me, but they play within the guidelines of what the state says they can do. And I absolutely agree with you that, we're all gonna, after they leave, after they build it, we're gonna have to deal with it. From my understanding, which is why I'm glad we at least got to get our chunk of flesh in questions and concerns, which we otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to do if they decided not to show up, because they don't have to report to planning board. But there's a lot of stuff that people are not gonna be happy with, and I think that they're gonna voice their opinion to zoning and to the board of selectmen. And unfortunately, I've been told that complain all you want, different word, complain all you want, state stamps it, it's coming. And the thing that I didn't like was really like, it's coming, so you may as well play nice with the people who are building it. not really,
Is the state gonna help us out when we have water problems? How are we gonna do that?
I mean, I can't go on record to say yes or
No,
no, but I think you know
understand that.
what the
My
answer to
point
that
of
is.
view,
Yeah.
The state's not gonna do anything.
Right.
They're just gonna say, yeah, you gotta build it, and then they wash their hands of it too.
I mean, there's a lot of action that the towns, the citizens of Halifax, or the residents of Halifax can do by writing letters to your state reps and to the selectmen and making sure that it's all on file, and at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they think is most economically profitable to their project, unfortunately.
We should probably have everybody come up to the mic from, I know we just didn't, but you know what I mean, like, Karen, favor?
Karen Favor, 66 Clyde Bosworth. My concern was on the wastewater treatment plant when the comment was made that, oh, you're ahead of us. No, that's like really, really important to, you know, our resources on to get an answer on those questions. You know, basically, oh, you're too far ahead of us. How can you approve something that you don't have all the information for? My husband works for, you know, a power plant with a wastewater treatment center and has the licenses for that, and there's a lot to it. And it's not just, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to go through, and to have that answer was crazy.
I think the point of it is that we were ahead of him because he didn't need to be here. So when the time comes for the official presentation to be stamped, he will probably have the answers to those questions.
And that would be at zoning?
Yes.
Not here, in other words.
It's gonna be at zoning.
We were ahead of him by probably 2 months because he came in, and I'm not saying doing a favor, right? I'm certainly not saying it that way, but he came in here without needing to do a presentation, and at questions that he either didn't have the answer to or knew that you weren't gonna like, he gets to default to. You'll see. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Apparently, that was not the only discrepancy. I had a conversation with Jonathan Seelig today about this, and he stated that they did not have the peach farm as part of the presentation on the tour that they did in November. And they had already purchased it.
But again, it's
Okay.
not,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
it's gonna come down to what the state allows them to do, not what the town allows them to do.
Can't make it hard for them.
Yes.
Of course we can.
My thought, I wrote it's
My time for that.
it's public record that I sent in a letter to Katie of Mass Housing and other people, and I am very glad to share it with anybody, but I went over all the laws. I went over the state of our town. I went over the fact that we have 420 mobile homes that are going to be pushed over and not being able to, they're not going to be able to afford it with the tax hikes that'll happen from this. So when does that come into consideration? Not to mention all of the smaller neighborhoods, the Anawan Drive, the Lincoln Street, the condos, both sets, and then everybody else in tax default, and then the numerous ones we can't even count that are going to go into default or not be able to afford their homes due to the fact that we have 26 rental units, and they're overextending our zoning by 209 units on a lot that is 26 acres and half of it is conservancy, questionably Mesa, which is Massachusetts Endangered Species, questionably National Heritage, which is another protected, and abuts FEMA. So I'll be glad to share it with everybody. You know, I've been talking about tax defaults and affordability in this town for a long time. It's getting pushed over. I find it offensive that 26 rental units would be more, that were considered affordable, would be more important than the 2,100 units that we have in this town, including land, industrial, and commercial. Never mind all the people that are going to be put out of their home. Like, so that 2,100 units is including not just homes, but I find it pretty offensive that that would be a law in our state, and I'm going to be flagrant about it, and I don't care. I think that we're in this town, and we need to safeguard our survival and our future. Period. Every other town that is overbuilt is seeing major issues major issues. Braintree, Situate doesn't have any water. They're in big trouble. We were just on a 3rd level drought. Write your state reps, stand, and get your neighbors to do so.
On this subject, they didn't come in front of Conservation the 27th, and they were on our agenda, and they didn't let us know. But my question was, where you suggested everybody look for the live feed, I was here. But however, not everyone might remember the planning board date. If you could let them know the date, if you remember, so they can look up the correct date of the planning board meeting to watch the presentation.
Thank you. December 15th?
It was December 21st. Nope, that was.
Oh, yeah, it was 3 weeks ago.
15th?
Oh, all I have is, moving forward.
It was December 15th.
Chris, December 15th. Chris, December 15th.
Thank you, guys.
December 15th was the presentation done.
No, but the one I saw posted to the town website was just the presentation.
Oh, I see.
That was the whole meeting,
Oh,
because I know they recorded it.
Oh, I wouldn't know why that wouldn't have occurred.
So they didn't, it was on Zoom because that was when we were having technical issues and we brought up my computer on Zoom.
Was
And
it
then
Zoom or was it
halfway
streaming?
through it,
Oh,
is when
yep.
Caesar was able to connect.
There was
There
a
is
lot
a
of technical difficulties that night.
Caesar has the answers to how to find that entire meeting because it was streamed, but it wasn't YouTube Area 58.
Okay, because I thought someone leaned over to them.
No, it wasn't.
Leaned over to them and asked if they were still recording, and they said yes.
Yeah. But because we didn't have a quorum, that stopped. The recording stopped, but it was still streamed. Everything we discussed was still streamed. We'll get the answer from Caesar, is basically the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'll call.
Did you just post it on Halifax community or like Billy?
Yeah, we can certainly try to do that.
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
As long as you're nice in the comments to me.
I just have,
15.
I just have 2 other things, Amy, if I could, before we go make that motion.
Of course you can.
I'd like to make a motion that we send a thank you letter appreciation for Joanne, you know, so that we have something
absolutely.
official.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made a motion to do that. You have to go.
I'll second.
Yeah.
All right.
And the only other
All
thing
in favor, aye?
Aye.
The only other thing, I spoke to, during the confusion about Zooming or streaming and whatever, I guess, probably Jonathan might have mentioned to you today when I spoke to him, I think all the meetings are gonna be Zoomed.
Right.
There was a discussion going back and forth whether you had to put it on the agenda, post it 48 hours. Yes, you do. No, you don't. Yes, you do. So we're just gonna Zoom them, and that's and it goes through. This is what Sue was telling me, Sue Wallace, that the meetings will be Zoomed. You know, so it's consistent. It's not what are we doing this week, what are we not doing that week, and that way for those of us that fortunately can't make all the meetings and miss the meetings, at least they can get on in Zoom.
Absolutely.
You know? So
Why have the technology if we don't use it?
and it's actually, Brendan, according to Jonathan, it's actually a state mandate that.
It will be. It's not yet.
Oh, I thought it was.
It's not
I
yet.
thought the way he was talking.
I just think that members
can be.
mostly should be here.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because and I think applicants should be here, because it's really difficult to look at a plan on a Zoom. And I
100%.
think that it's dangerous to
But it
have
will be nice to have it as a backup. If
Right.
it's, yeah.
And it's consistent too, you know, that it's always there. The only other thing, if you want, I'll make a motion to go into executive session and to discuss
Second.
pending litigation, and we will not be, if okay with you, we will not be
returning to.
returning to
Yep.
an open meeting.
Yep. All in favor?
Second, aye.
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 Very good.